Oh, hello everyone. Come on in. I just want to have a little chit chat. Little things going through my mind. So, welcome to afternoon therapy with the Guru Mama. Never know what's going to come out in therapy, right? Oh, hello, 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 Shar. A few years ago, I used to go to Glenmore Park early in the morning, and hello, Declan. And I would do lives on my Instagram, and this was like, I guess, almost like from 2017, 2018, all the way till I moved here, and just go early in the morning, and go for a walk, do my morning therapy, and tell you all about uh, uh, what's going through my head and what's going on. And today, happy Father's Day to all the dads and everything. Steve just went to a basketball game with Olivia, which is absolutely cool, and Mateus. So they're off to a basketball game. Since we have this basketball team that is, I guess, semi pro, I don't know the whole logistics, but it is with some really good basketball player dudes. I'm so good. Don't even know what they're called. Anyways, so they're off and doing that today. So that's really cool. And then we're going for the kids. Um, I guess they decided we're going for Chinese. So wasn't my first choice for food because Chinese food is not my favorite food. Anyways, it's not my day, it's his day. So I did take him for coffee. Took him for coffee. So we went for coffee today. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, so um, things that are going through my mind today is just one. I was listening to my Norwegian guy. His name is Borg, a very very handsome Norwegian guy that I watch on YouTube, and he is a nature man, and he is fond of Odin. He's even made an Odin shield and stuff like that. Very Viking man. He's an author, very well spoken, and knowledgeable about things. Certainly not. I mean, I started watching him. We're going to start calling it pre no PC and pre-COVID and post-COVID. Time. So I found him during just in around about 2018, 2019, thereabouts. I started watching him. And what drew me is that he was saying the same thing I was, but he wasn't like an astrologer or claims to be a psychic. He was just very wise in seeing what was happening and was really was speaking out about a lot of things, which a lot of people in his, didn't agree with. He was speaking out about the government and the things that were happening with the government at that time and even now. But I was watching a show the other day, and it's a lot of things that I have been witnessing and watching over the last few years. And all of this is coming, a part of the crunch, and this is part of really being aware of what's going on. It doesn't mean that you have to watch the news and, "Oh my god, what's happening?" I wouldn't even watch legacy news. I can't even handle half the people that speak on there, and because Steve once in a while, like, puts it on, "No, I wanna see what the weather is." Yeah. Anyways, I, it's just I hearing, what they say and stuff like that is because it just drives me nuts. Anyways, but just being observant of what is going on. Now, a few years ago, I noticed and I thought it was kind of strange that they were doing intermittent fasting and really promoting intermittent fasting. Hello, Derek, and welcome. Um, and I'm not sure if you have children or if you're, anyways, happy Father's Day and happy Father's Day to your father, to your uncles, and to all of those that are the males in your family. So one of the things is the intermittent of fasting started to becoming a really big thing, and people starting to fast, and that was becoming a huge, part of the lifestyle, like, wanting to promote it as part of the lifestyle. It's really good to intermittent fast. Now, I'm not saying fasting is a good thing or a bad thing. I know they do it in many times, for religious reasons, and do intermittent fasting at different times. And I feel like it can be beneficial, in some ways. When I was a kid, during Lent, we used to do starvathons. Starvathons to a bunch of middle class kids going to church. Oh, we're going to do a starvathon, and it was raising money for peace and development at that time. And we would start on a Friday night, and you'd get juice every like we would drink juice every so many hours and stuff like that. And then we would go all the way till from Friday night. I think it was like for 24 hours or something like that. I don't think they'd let us go for 2 days without food, but I think it was till Sunday morning because we slept in the basement of the church. And then we went to mass and stuff, and celebrated peace and development and all of that fun stuff. But it was something that was a cause. Now that's one thing I noticed, being promoted, of and I thought it was kind of strange, and becoming the new trend for losing weight, and then they have it for different age groups and all that. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Then of course they started to wanting to introduce eating bugs and eating, shit like that, right? You like my nails? um uh thank you. All of these things. And now if you sit back and you start watching, you're just like, "Hmm, what's going on here?" Right? It's like almost preparing you for something, and you get all these guys out there, all these nutritionists that come out and they talk about and how good it is for you, and, of what it can do and eat your fat and blah, blah, blah. And I find it interesting. And even, when I was listening to Borg and he was talking about the diet that they are talking about, promoting to the Western world, is that we eat too much meat, right? And that they're only wanting you to have, I think it was 350 grams a week of meat. And as Borg says, he goes, you can eat that in one meal. He's a big boy, and they're like, in a week. And they're vegetable oils, to be using vegetable oils and stuff like that. So really promoting a not a very good diet, a diet that has hardly any milk or dairy in it, a diet that has some linguines and vegetables in it, and that's part of the diet that they really are wanting to promote. Then my mind, as he was talking, I went, "Oh my god, that's a wartime diet. That's a wartime diet." That's what they, tried, that they promoted with rationing, was this diet. And, because it was very hard to get either meat, or it was very hard to get dairy and things like that. Now, prior to World War II, they did a lot of culling. They went down in different areas to, like, where cattle raising and chickens and that, all through not only the United States, but throughout Canada, that they would go to these different farms and they started to cull a lot of the meat at that time for disease. They said they were diseased, or they said there's something wrong with the meat and stuff. Very similar to what's going on right now. And with that, it was I found it very interesting with that coming forward, um, with this, changes and things that they're trying to promote, is and also to decrease population. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is a decrease in population. It happens every time he is in Aquarius. That's every 248 years. Something comes through that decreases the population in some way. Right now, we have a decrease in population, not only from people who've taken the elixir, but also we're going to be finding a decrease in population due to war. Definitely is one, since they just, as of what's the date? Oh, the 14th. That was Friday. That they passed in Congress to start to set forth the draft in the United States between the ages of 18 and 26, both male and females. Um, since um, the amount of people that are in the armed forces is less than 50% of what it was for World War II. So I found that very interesting. Oh, you picked up a bug during camp. Ugh. Take care of yourself. Drink lots of ginger ale, and tea and toast. Um, there is, this presence that's being promoted to us in the world right now of food and of we got to eat this way because we got to save the planet. Basically, you got to eat this type so that you can save the planet. And instead of coming into a place where, and especially with all of these environmentalists, it's coming into a place of well, harmony with the earth, of working with harmony with the earth. I think farmers need to learn a new way of farming. I honestly do, because of all the fertilizers and everything that the farmers use. And I know they say because of, pesticides and everything, of insects and everything else. But I feel like there's something there that there has to be a change, right? Yes, there has to be a change within our world. There has to be a change in how we are connected to the earth and how we work with the earth and how we can come into harmony with that of the food that we eat. And I think it's very important that we have to learn some ways. That's why I tell people, if you have a garden and stuff like that. Hey Dana, thank you. To learn about permaculture, learn about forest gardening, learn different ways of how to garden. I feel like that's very important. Learn, like there's a lot where, with the rotation of crops, like I mentioned to a few like farmers, and I said, why don't farmers plant hemp? And they all laughed at me. They thought I was, haha, what are you, drug dealer? No, I'm talking about the male plant for, it's not, there's no THC in it. It's the male one. And I said they used to make ropes out of it. I said a lot of the ski lifts, in these beautiful mountainous areas, the ski lifts, the the steel that takes you up the mountain um is bound. The steel that it goes around is bound by hemp. It's a hemp rope because hemp rope is extremely strong. And I said, and plus, there's hemp clothes and there's hemp seeds, and the hemp seeds have so many omegas in it. I said it has just as many omegas as fish oils. It has the same amount as fish oils, or if not more. And I said, you can make hemp milk. Hemp milk is absolutely fabulous. I mean, if you haven't tried it, I did say, try it because it does taste like it's creamy. It's really good. And it tastes very similar to regular milk. And it's very nutritious. So the reason why is they say, well, there's no market for it. And I'm like, yeah, the reason why there's no market for it is because they know that the nutrients from this plant can actually bring in more nutrients to your acreage than say others, because it doesn't need pesticides, it doesn't need fertilizer or anything like that. And I think this is where new thought and new innovations have to come in. And I believe this is my own thoughts that I'm saying that, there is, science does have some really fabulous information there for us to really start to really work in harmony with the earth, and work in a way that can actually produce really good food for us. Hydroponics is one way, but it's not, with hydroponics, the one thing about it can grow really good lettuce and everything else. Um, but what they have found is that plants like tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that, you can grow them by hydroponics, definitely. But the nutrient count isn't as high as if it was, excuse me, growing in the soil, because the soil brings in a lot of nutrients. So I feel like there's a way for us to really step forward in a very positive way in creating a harmonious way of of working with plants and with the garden and that, and I because there's such a promotion not to, and I think we're going to have to, because we are going to be stepping into, you're going to be seeing it in the next, it's going to be slow in coming, like, people aren't going to, you're not going to notice it right away, but it's going to be slow in coming with, with starvation and malnutrition. And this is where, I mean, we already have quite a bit of malnutrition within the Western world, and that's because of the processed foods and the shit that we eat. Um, I'm guilty of it just as much as others. I love it when people say, "Well, I don't eat any processed food." Well, God bless you, honey. I admire you. But sometimes I do eat processed food. I took my husband out for a chicken sandwich today because he wanted one. Um, and, and so there is, I mean, it's great, it's convenient. I mean, I've had, I have kids when they were younger, when it was, we're going to a soccer tournament, a hockey tournament, and you are going from one place to another, and you have four kids or three kids or whatever. It's convenient to go to a drive through and just like shovel, here you guys eat, kind of thing. But, that's the thing. It's like it's nice to have, but it's not, it shouldn't be a full part of your whole diet kind of thing. So this is where I feel having a balance, having some kind of balance is really important. Coming back into harmony with the world. And the thing is, what's going on with the world and is that because the frequencies are so high and coming in, means that there's going to be such chaos on the other side, excuse me. The chaos is just going to ramp up. And the reason why the chaos has to ramp up is because in order for us to come back into a form of balance, of whatever that balance may look like, whatever that balance may feel, it has to get chaotic. It has to get crazy. And things are just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier and more ramped up than they ever have been. Um, the whole thing, like, I knew there was something going to be hitting Ottawa, and and what's hitting Ottawa right now in Canada, it's just, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the craziness that's going to unfold within our government, and it's going to, I hate to say, our government topple. I'm just not sure what that looks like, but I know there's something there, and something definitely is going to um bring in a huge dismantlement of the whole thing. I mean, we got a PM that's not even really welcomed in Europe. The people just hate him. The people don't like him here, and the people don't like him in the United States either. They try to put, people around him that, to prop him up, to make it look like, he's very loved, but unfortunately he's not. And this is where it's like this dismantlement, and this is where part of the revolution and everything that's happening within the world right now is that there is a dismantlement that is definitely happening. With all of the we're seeing it in the EU, we're seeing it in different, in France. Macron just called an election because he knew that it's just not even worth me running. Like, this is not worth it. So I'm going to call an election. We see it in the UK where he called an election, because it's just like, you get to a point. I mean, it's a good thing that, that you smart thing. And I think most of those guys don't really want to be in power, but I don't know about Macron, because he's kind of like got a Napoleon thing going on. Um, don't want to head into or be the ones responsible for their country going into World War III, because deep down they know that there's such a controversy about how this war is and what exactly is in Ukraine. Ukraine is definitely a breadbasket. It is a part of Russia. It was a part of Russia, until the United States did their little deeds in there to split it off because of all the resources that are in there, allegedly. But it's not allegedly, because you go into history, you could see it, where they propped up a government in there that would follow the United States and whatever they say. So it is, they say that they're fighting for democracy, yet they have, the person that's in there right now, Zelensky, will not have an election. So we're seeing that they know that there's a dismantlement of what actually is there and who is there within the Ukraine. And it's not the people, not all the people. It's a lot. It's unfortunately it's the government. So again, there's a toppling that's going on. Now we just had a G7 summit, and I thought it was very, 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 very weird that the Pope was there and met with every single leader privately. So there is something, God bless the Catholic Church. There is something that's going on because the Catholic Church, I mean, come on, guys. They have knowledge that we don't even have. They are in contact with probably alien beings that we don't even know about and shit like that. They got a library that is locked down, like, Fort Knox, that you can't even enter or be in without a special invitation by the Pope. And not everybody can actually go in there to even look at it. And even if you get in there, you're only allowed certain sections of the library. Some sections are totally blocked off to you. So it's interesting that he was there in meeting every single one. So there is some kind of dealing that is going on with everything, and how how that is going to unfold, because it's, the church is having, I know there's they got their finger in the Middle East. Of course they do, because of Jerusalem and the whole thing with, with Jesus, and, that part of it as well. But this is where I feel like, we're going to be witnessing a huge change and dismantlement of the world that we know. And even here, like, I know Charlene sent me a TikTok of our mayor. Like, that woman, like, first of all, she just, I don't know, she annoys me. She annoyed me from the day she got in there. Um, Everything about her. I mean, she looked ridiculous in the comment that she made with the stupid shirt she was wearing. Like, I don't know what the hell she was wearing. Buttoned up, cowboy shirt that she was wearing today, and saying that, oh, dads don't have to can take the today off and not shower. Like, smack her. Smack her, smack her. You didn't get notification. What? Check it. So this is, I find that very interesting as well. It's like, and plus, I said that this water main thing is going to take a month or even 2 months. They're going to have to make allowances for the Stampede, because the Stampede, I mean, it's already booked, it's already going. So they're going to be making some kind of concessions with the Stampede, because that's a multi-billion-dollar industry that brings in a lot of money to the city. And it'll be very devastating if she decides, well, if she stopped the Stampede. I hate to see what, I think somebody's going to come and string her up on a high tree, that's for sure. But it certainly wouldn't go over well. But as my husband says, I bet you her husband is smelling good and in a nice steam room or shower, because she lives in a very nice neighborhood in Calgary. She definitely does not live in Forest Lawn or any of the northeast or southeast areas. She lives in a very nice area, to my understanding. Not sure which one, but I know it's quite nice. So this is where I'm finding, like, again, here we got um, a municipal government, but very manipulated, very with the water mains, and finding more breaks within the water main and stuff like that. And 6 months ago, they had some guy coming in to inspect it and said that we need to replace some of the parts. Um, and it was dismissed. And then we're told that, oh, it hadn't even lived out half its lifetime, these pipes. I don't know. Where's my armadillo helmet? I got to put that on with my tinfoil. It just doesn't seem, just seems crazy. Anyways. So all of these things that are coming in, all of these things that are coming into disruption, with us all, is that we really have to be the observer, and we really have to sit on the eagle's perch and watch, right? Um, and as we are watching, to be observant of what, okay, I see what they're doing with the food. Okay, what can I do to protect myself and protect my family and protect those that I love? What are those things I can do to with everything to do with the crisis with money? That's the other thing. It's just I've been going down a lot of little crazy thought thingies, so bear with me. It's like, okay, Bitcoin. If the grid goes down, what are you gonna do with your Bitcoin? Like, if, all of a sudden things change or whatever, it's like, or there's no more dollar because you gotta switch the Bitcoin into money, right? Into a fiat money, into something in order to spend it, to utilize it. And the thing is with Bitcoin, not everybody's set up to use Bitcoin. So if you own a store, let's say, I don't know, let's call Walmart. Not every supplier they have is on Bitcoin and being able to take Bitcoin into a wallet and being able to utilize that wallet. It just isn't feasible. Having gold and silver, I think it's definitely a good thing to have gold and silver and have it on you. But still, how are you going to pay your rent or utilities in gold? Are you going to shave off a bunch of gold and send it in the mail? Here's my $130 for my utilities or whatever it is, right? So the thing is that a lot of things that are coming out just don't make sense. Is the US dollar going to crash? Oh, definitely. And that's another thing that's going to be a slow burn that is going to go across the country, that people are going to witness, because with the demonetization of the dollar, and of course something that, I mean, the dollar is not totally going to go away, but the amount that the dollar is involved in and what it does and how it impacts the rest of the country is going to be huge. Trump was talking about taking away income tax, which is funny because income tax was brought in to be only temporary. So that's the other thing, is that, the time when they didn't have, um, was in the early 1900s, right? And there was money. There was a lot of money, and that's where you got those beautiful houses and Edwardian houses, that were built, and the Roosevelts and all of them, um, built those beautiful, because they didn't have to pay any income tax, right? So that's interesting, is to see if he actually goes through with that, because then he'd have to tax more. But other countries do that. And where their country doesn't pay any income tax at all. And it's a lot of Middle Eastern countries that do, and a lot of that money goes back to the people. So then you have where, not so much that you are having so many imports, it's like all of a sudden then the country decides, people start to say, "Hey, why can't we build that here? It's so expensive to now bring that all in. Why don't we utilize the money and really start to invest in our own country?" It's extra time is a lie. Yeah, and so this is where things, a lot of this change is going to happen, but we're also going to see a lot of demise and fall and destruction that's going to happen in this. And for all of us who are here or who watch me or follow me, you're all, beautiful light workers. You're all beautiful people that have so much to give and to help and to guide others upon this journey. And it's really to be, to bring it in and bring in the grounding with this, so that, if you're a gardener, if you're able to do that, keep on bringing up gardening, because I am not a gardener. I am not a canner. I could learn it. I could do it. I have gardened in the past. I have done canning in the past. Um, this might gross people out, but I've also done slaughtering of chickens and turkeys, and been around when they've slaughtered cows. So I've been around that. It doesn't bother me at all. That's probably my Scorpio, but it's important, that if you do have those skills, or you're able to do that, you have your property, to share the skills that you have in some way, and it's going to be important for you to um, pass them on because they're going to be needed in many ways. So all these thoughts that are going through my head, I feel like there's for people to mm, get on the eagle's perch, really watch what's happening. Um, Jupiter in Gemini over this next year is going to be a very crazy transformational time. This is where you're going to find where Gemini's rules birds, and then you have all um, Pisces rules water, lungs, and Gemini rules the lungs as well, but Pisces rules the water and that within the lungs. And with Jupiter there, it's going to expand things. So you're going to find, more things coming out about lung infections, things to do with the lungs. And we're going to hear more. That's going to be coming more into our narrative. So just being aware of it. Is it real? This one, the one that's coming in is real. Is there is there an elixir for it? No. Um, can we fight it off in other ways? I believe so. I believe that's why they tried to hide and try to get rid of a lot of the herbs and stuff. So again, getting to know, what does mullein do for you? Have mullein extract. Mullein extract, if you have mullein extract, that's going to last you for like years, like a long time. I'm going to say 25 years. They'll probably say only 5 on the side, but most tinctures and stuff like that and extra, they last a hell of a long time. So, I mean, having things like, mullein tincture, or even having, if you have the dried herbs, if you keep them in a really good area, away from light, and they can last up to 10 years, or they start to lose a little bit after about 5 or 8. But I mean, if it's in a nice dry area, you could definitely keep them longer. You can, bring in things like holy basil tincture, holy basil tea, things like that. Even learning how to make my brain just went back, but how I make extracts, not extracts. I can't even think of the name. But anyways, I use boiling water and the herb in a mason jar, and and drinking that, like, bringing that. Can you get mullein tincture in there? Oh, definitely. Definitely. And just having it, it's great if you get bronchitis. It's great. It breaks up the mucus. You can find mullein on the side of the road. Mullein, it grows up over 6, 7 feet. It's huge. It looks like a prehistoric plant, and it grows straight up, and it's kind of a dusty gray kind of color. And the flowers on it are beautiful, beautiful yellow flowers. And you can use it from the flowers to the leaves to the root. They all have a purpose for it. And Charlene said she can make you one if you want. Um, so you can drive out to Bragg Creek, and you can get mullein on the side of the road, and dry it yourself, and make it. So, and there's lots of TikTok videos on how to make it and everything else. So, or go see Charlene. Go see Charlene. And this is where I feel like, things that we need to bring forth into our place. Now, a couple things that today, when I was doing my part of my morning meditation and stuff, getting a headache again. Part of my morning meditation was that I have to bring back my herbs, and it's bringing back some of the herbs that I used to sell. And so, and I was talking to Steve about that today too. So bringing back a lot of the herbs like the Damiana, skullcap is another one. Bringing back the mullein, the mugwort, and things like that. So, um, it is one of those things that I've been thinking about, and just I haven't done it for a while, but bringing back some of the stuff that I had before, right? And starting to bring them back. Um, Trying to bring up a picture for you to see. There we go. All right. Hang on here. So this is a mullein plant. So that's the mullein. Now, mullein doesn't grow in Saskatchewan or Manitoba, I believe. It does grow here in Alberta, and it does grow in BC. So that is the mullein plant. And they're quite big. They're quite big. So if you see that growing, and they grow in ditches. So should make a list of things we should have on hand would be helpful. Yes, I know. Okay, having thyme, even a thyme plant, rosemary, all the typical herbs that you cook with, even to have those plants on hand, right? To have the actual herb itself. Um, some of the herbs that, even to have your own, to grow your own rosemary and have your own dried rosemary is actually really good to have. Skullcap trades a little higher if you need. Yeah, no, skullcap's always expensive because it's difficult to get. Skullcap is. Nettle, stinging nettle, absolutely fabulous. And making stinging nettle. Um, just wait. An infusion. So making a stinging nettle infusion is something that it has so many benefits, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, vitamin D, and even vitamin K in it. And making the infusion, and the infusion is just boiling water and that. I've done videos on this before and shown people on how to make them. You have lots. Go out, put your gloves on, long sleeves on, and go out. And if you have a lot of nettle in your area, go and cut it. And right beside nettle is plantain. So plantain is a really beautiful one to have because it really can. It has a lot of benefits as well. Yarrow is really good, either white or pink. If it's yellow, then it's man-made. It's a hybrid. So white or yellow, you find it growing in alleys. And yarrow is really good for any bleeds or anything like that. And you can make it in different ways, right? So you can use yarrow I think you can use yarrow in teas and things like that. Um, Things like Solomon seal is a beautiful plant to have as well. It's really expensive herb to have, but I mean, having it, you can make it into a tincture and stuff, and that's really good for the adaptogens and things. So there's um different tinctures in that are good to have in your first aid kit, that can help in many different incidents than just going straight to the doctor for some things. I know we have to go to the doctor. I'm not taken away from Western medicine. Antibiotics are definitely, if you need to take antibiotics, definitely take antibiotics. But these are sort of like, if you are wanting to use these first and then go into the antibiotics, can be very helpful for a lot that is going to be coming down. Keeping your gut health good. So things to, fermented stuff. You can get even fermented but it doesn't taste good. um For like fermented vitamins. You can get different fermented vitamins from fermented multivitamins, probiotics. You can get there's a whole line of different ones that you can get. I would prefer if I'm going to get fermented vitamins and stuff. For me personally, it's definitely in a pill form. I am not because I've tasted some of it just like bleh. um for bleeds and teas, Solomon seal, good for adaptogens. Um, so there's many different things that we can utilize and get that are readily available. You know, some things just on the side of the road. Definitely for using any of them, you know, especially if it's side of the road, like you can wash them. They got bugs on them, you know, bugs wash off. You know, and sometimes if it's up the alley, a dog probably peed on it. So you can wash it off. You know, people are like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna use that." Well, you know, you eat carrots. Um, you know, probiotics, things like that are very good and helps with the gut health. Gut health is extremely important. Probiotics, the thing is about probiotics, after their expiration date that they have on the side, that is just put up because of Health Canada. And if it's 50 billion or whatever, for probiotics, it after the date within 6 months, it might go down by a quarter, and, it can last another 5 years. I mean, if you know what probiotics is made from, you know, it'll last a long time. So, um, you know, so there's so many things that we can start to do this, and this is all part microgreens. Growing your own microgreens is another one because microgreens are really good. They're nutritious. They're great for salads. You can add them in different foods and things like that. So there's you know we have so many things that we can actually bring forth and bring in. You know, I've mentioned about putting crystals in your water and stuff like that is really good, especially quartz crystals are very helpful in bringing in, you know, and taking away things that are in the water, and it does change the way that your water tastes, right? Um, Prunely self heal is really good. Fights against cancer. Prunely. Oh, the I have to look that up. Prunely. Is that how you spell it? Oh, oh, prunella? Is that what you're looking at? Prunella? That one? Because prunella is with the purple flowers, right? Prunella. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm just like, hang on. I know what this is, but it's okay. Prunella, definitely. It is one that's really good for you. The thing is, one thing when it helps with sore throats and it helps to accelerate wound healing, alleviates fever, etc. It's actually prunella is actually part of Chinese medicine. It also helps with diabetes as well. So you can get it in a herbal tea. You can get prunella also in you can grow it yourself. It's a pretty herb. It's a pretty herb. Has really pretty little purple flowers and stuff on it as well. So, yes, exactly. But saving screenshots. So does holy basil. Holy basil helps with diabetes as well. The thing is that it helps with diabetes. If you are a diabetic, do not go off your medicine. Um, the thing is, these are just things that can help, right? With it. Mistletoe is another one, but mistletoe is also known as a poison, but it can help too. Sore throats helps with wounds, healing, fevers, and diabetes. Yes. Same with holy basil. Holy basil is mainly used for depression. Holy basil is fabulous stress releaser and anxiety. and it is really good to help with anxiety. Burdock root is also really good for menopause and helps with the menopause. I don't recommend mixing any herbs together. I am not a person who mix any herbs together. Use the herbs individually. Mixing the herbs is that if you do have a reaction, then you don't know what caused that reaction. Dandelion root, dandelion flowers, dandelion leaves, very good, filled with nutrition, vitamin C, and the whole bit. Herbs really do what they, when you look at them, it's sometimes the way that they look is what they help you with. Um, so there's so many different beautiful herbs. Ashwagandha is another one too. Ashwagandha is a root herb. Um, it is one that works with a lot of root, and it is an Ayurvedic medicine, and it's used in Ayurvedic medicine, ashwagandha. And so this is where it's really good to do your own research and homework on a lot of these. Is very good. Ashwagandha, yeah, it can be used for hormones. It's not promoted that way, and it's not promoted that way in Ayurvedic medicine, um, because it is a root. So it's really good for things to do with the root. It does, yes, there's benefits for both male and female. They do call it for menstrual health and PMS, sexual fertility, enhances, many different things. The thing is, when you're getting into Ayurvedic medicine and working with Ayurvedic medicine, I find that, in my opinion, is that people will just like, oh, here, use ashwagandha, then use burdock, and use this. I find that because it's an Ayurvedic, now with Ayurvedic medicine, they use food as well. So they don't just use that herb, right? So that what they it's getting dark all of a sudden. Um, but what they do, I don't have the light on. What they do is that they use food, right? So bringing in food that works with the ashwagandha, right? And that's when you're working with any Ayurvedic, anything to do with Ayurvedic. It's what types of foods are you using? What kind of spices are you using as well? Because it's like, are you going, do you have too much dry in your body? Do you have too much heat in your body? What is going on? And then they try to bring forth a balance with that as well. And I know some people do use ashwagandha for with hormones as well. Um, so, but it's not my first one that I would pick for using for hormones, but some people do. I don't know. That's just my 2 bits on that. Um, you know, I would use before I use ashwagandha, I'd use mugwort. Mugwort is it's a bitter herb, so it's really good for the stomach, good for the digestion, but it also is really good for hormonal balancing, right? And bringing in the hormonal alignment for you, and it helps to bring your period back into a cycle, and bringing in mugwort. Mugwort can be used from anybody from the ages of 0 to 105, 125, right? Um, the other thing too is like Damiana. Damiana is a Mexican herb. It is mugwort too is a mild hallucinogenic too, so it's really good to drink it in the evening. So a skull cap is will make you very sleepy. Damiana is a very nice herb. It is really good for menopausal women. It's great to drink it as a tea. It's really good for vaginal dryness. It is really good for helping with brain fog, Damiana. So Damiana is a really nice one as well. So, and using that, the art of herbalism is truly an interesting one. I wish everyone here health and peace. And so, oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, herbs are there. They're there for us to utilize. I think a lot of course, a lot of our Western medicine, like willow bark, is aspirin, right? So willow bark was used as an anti-inflammatory, was used for pain medicine as well, right? So there's so much there that is there for us to start to utilize it. But because our diet, and we're going to go back to the diet, because our diet is shit, and then they're promoting shit diet on us, and then they're promoting for us to go and start to intermittently fast and all of this type of stuff, because our society's too fat, which is true. We do live in a fat society. And we live in a fat society because we lived on the fat, we lived on the prosperity and the abundance of this, of within the Western world. So this is where we have to start to change in many different ways to bring forth a harmonious way of how we grow our food, where we harvest our food, how we harvest our food, how do we grow our food. We cannot, unfortunately, go totally without pesticides, right? We still need some form of pesticides because of how long, we can't take that all away. Look what happened to Indonesia, right? I mean, they've been so reliant on the outside world, and then they took everything away, and then everybody started to starve there. There was a reason why they wanted people to starve there. Anyways, so there's just different ways of bringing that harmony back into how we um how we eat, and we can do it by doing little tiny changes within our diet, um and bringing in how we um incorporate the foods um in the way that we do things and where we buy them, right? So it's very important to local farmers markets, really um back the farmers, right? Go to these farmers markets. If you are going to be doing canned tomatoes and stuff this year, go to a local farmers market and buy your 100 pounds of tomatoes to go can your tomatoes. And that may sound like a lot of tomatoes, but it's not. If you like, it's not. We use tomatoes a lot in our house. Um, I ended up doing, I do freezer tomatoes because I'm too lazy to can them. But then again, for some people that might be cheaper, just because it's very, to pay for the canning and the jars and everything else and stuff like that. You can freeze tomatoes. You can freeze your carrots. You can freeze anything. You can freeze dry it or whatever. You could dry them out and do a slow sun, dried tomatoes, etc. So there's different things that we can start doing. And I think this is a prime time. I know our weather has been shit, especially where we are. Steve was talking to his brother in Trinidad. Hang on, I got to turn on the lights. And I'm very slow in getting up. Oh. I'm moving like my mother. Since the accident, it's funny, I'm slower moving. I'm getting up and down. So, back down again. All right. I'm good if I'm stationary. um, in Trinidad, where my husband is from, when he was talking to his brother today, that they've been having crazy rain down there in Trinidad. This isn't rainy season for Trinidad. Christmas time is rainy season. So for them, this is abnormal. He was talking to his cousins in Miami, and they were saying that, they had the flash flood, and then it got so hot. It's like the humidity just went through the roof there. So crazy weather patterns is something that we're going to be seeing quite a bit. Um, so this is where, if you're able to, greenhouses, or, doing different things, if you can do the hydroponics and stuff like that. I started doing um, some of the hydroponics, but I don't have the room in my tiny little apartment to do certain things. So we'll see how things turn out or what I'm going to do. But this is where it's like, if you can't do a lot, microgreens, herbs, patio tomatoes. You could do, if you have a patio, you could do raspberries in pots. That's what I was thinking of doing. You can also do greens, like green beans and stuff like that. You can put up a tiny little trellis and in between two pots and stuff. and grow some beans and sweet peas and stuff like that if you want. There's many different ways for us to really bring forth our own stuff that we want to grow, even if you want to grow some cherry tomatoes or things like that. But as I said, it's going to get, I mean, this week coming, hang on, we're heading into a solar eclipse with a full moon, and the full moon comes at the peak. Like the full moon starts in Sagittarius, and then as gets to the climax of the full moon is in Capricorn, right when the summer solstice comes in. So we, it's just like whoop, that energy that's going to come in. And so you got to think that more water is coming in. So that's Cancer. And then you have organization, how to get things organized. That full moon is going to really highlight, and it's looking at Pluto, who's heading towards Capricorn right now because it's retrograde, on how more disruption and how things are done in the world around us, especially when it comes to government. So this whole Cancer season, and from the Cancer season into the Leo season, is really going to be bringing in, especially after the middle of July, for the United States and for other parts of the world. It's going to start bringing in a hell of a lot more uprising and disruptions and earthquakes. I got a lot of earthquakes coming in, especially where Uranus is. And so with those earthquakes are going to cause other disruptions that will happen in and around the world. So it's just hang on and let's get ourselves prepared for what we do need and how we do need to create our own medicine chest for ourselves and for those around us and our families. There you go. Those were my thoughts today. I thought that so much is like boing. I just wanted to come in and say that. And plus Steve went off to a basketball game, so it gave me some time to just to connect with everyone. So man, I have my sale on. Got to let you know. 1 reading $100, 2 readings $150, 3 readings $200. So if you are interested in in buying any of those packages, and definitely let me know. I don't have any more time next week, but in the next couple weeks, I do have available times coming up. So let me know, because it sure in the hell helps me. Thank you for all. There's a special person that has really helped me out. A couple of special people, but one in particular has really stepped forward, and she helped to keep my lights on. And I like to thank her very much. I'm not going to call her out because I know she wants to keep private. And but she just has a heart of gold. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, because you helped keep them on, and then you helped with another bill that came in, and for us to rent our vehicle. So thank you very much I'm going to do a shout out. You're in my prayers. You're all in my prayers, but it's little special sprinkles to her at this time. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for your support. When you buy my packages, when you do that, you are supporting me. You are helping me to continue doing what I'm doing and to show up here every day so you can listen to me babble on. in my craziness. So thank you so very much for all that you do, and for being a part of my community. You are all so fabulous and wonderful in supporting me in so many ways. So sending you out so much love. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all that you say and all that you be and all that you do. Thank you for being a part of my community. Thank you. Love the babble. Thank you. Have a great day. Love your fathers, who are here, who have passed and gone on. Send them out blessings and love, because it's so important to have that masculine energy into this world and in and around us. So have a blessed one, everybody. We will talk to you all tomorrow. We'll see how the day goes. I have my first house. Won't be till later on in the day that will happen. God bless.